you?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I live in Derbyshire, and I work as a leather worker, and sort of sales and marketing for a little leather craft business in the Peak District. And I live in a house with my 2 dogs and my husband, and I've been living up here for about coming up for 20 years. We moved up from the south of England. So originally I came from just south of London, which is where I grew up.
And what's a usual day in your life look like, Sarah?
So a usual day, I guess, I would get up and always have an intention to do a bit of yoga or something, but never ever do it. And always slightly run late and start my work, which at the moment is at home. So some of the time of my day might be sitting on the computer quite a lot, answering people's leather problems and leather craft problems. And other times I'm actually at my craft desk making something for an email, that I'm doing. And sometimes some of my days I might be teaching a class as well. Yeah, lunchtime walk with the dogs, bit more work, and then walking the dogs again in the evening. And then in the evenings I might have a book club on Zoom at the moment, or a scarecrow meeting for the village. So.
What impact does your faith have on your everyday life?
My faith is something that is kind of evolved over my life, I guess. And one of the things I really like to feel about my faith at the moment is it was a kind of statement by the Northumbria community, and I might be misquoting it a little bit, but it was about being purposefully lost, deliberately uncertain, and resolutely unknowing. And that's something I kind of try. It's become something I've really learned to find easy to live with in my everyday faith. I think a lot of the time when I was younger, I struggled with a lot of guilt about what was a good Christian, and I should have a quiet time every morning. And if I didn't set aside time to pray to God every day, I would just feel bad all the time and feel like I'd feel guilty, feel a bad person, feel like a bad Christian. And it took years and years to unravel that and just be set free from that and actually just be. And when I want to talk to God, I can talk to God and just have that. And I also have completely come to peace with the idea that being uncertain and being doubtful is fine. It's not only fine, it's a place that God calls us to be. And it's a less safe place. There's no black and white boundaries around that. But actually, it's a place I'm much more at peace in, even if it's harder sometimes to say, well, I really don't know the answer to that. I don't know what God thinks about that. And that's just meant that at the moment, I have a lot more tranquility about my faith. And during the day, I sometimes feel like God must be way too busy to hear my prayers. So I sometimes struggle with that. But I'd still do it anyway. Mostly I find God the most when I'm outdoors. So when I'm walking and when I'm swimming. So sometimes I'll just take myself off and be a bit of a hermit and just find those times. And I do practice a bit of yoga. And that's really helped me to be a bit stiller and be a bit more aware of my kind of surroundings and the moment, being in the moment. So when I'm out walking and when I'm swimming and stuff, I find myself, it's much easier to connect with God. And I kind of feel like the outdoors for me, it feels like my church. So whenever I go out, I kind of feel like that.
How can your church help support you in your everyday faith?
I think there are kind of small practical things, I guess. I mean, at the moment, my cousin's daughter's really ill in a hospital with a very serious head injury, and she's a young 15-year-old, and it's been very upsetting. Sometimes I feel like, my church at the moment, I've got her on prayer lists and stuff, but I think that's really important that people have a place where they can bring petitions and intercessions, and just sometimes it's hard when you're in the midst of a family situation or crisis for you to find the words. But if you just know that somebody else is kind of got your back in that, I think that can be really reassuring and really quite a big deal. Church is for me just other people. It's not so much going to a particular building, and maybe this last year's brought that home to us more than ever. So I think having small groups around you and knowing that within your, if you're part of a larger church, that there is a small group. And I'm not saying necessarily home group or anything like that, but just that having a little cluster of people that can support you, that you maybe eat with, you have meals with, that you like a family. I think that's probably where sort of conversation comes up that's very natural about faith and about, because you're with like-minded people who've experiencing those, you know that you can bring those things up in a safe place.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing your everyday story.
Thank you.